Just Eve. Just Eve.
Welcome back. Um, Welcome back to my show. Today is February 15, 2025. I'm Eve, and tonight, I wanted to go live last night, but then guess it is like a universal date night, so didn't quite get to it last night. Still the weekend. The weekend's still young, so we can still have a conversation. Um, conversation about what? Well, the squad. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the squad lately. Maybe you don't even know who they are. It's a lot of people who, they're not really involved in politics as much as they have a very strong opinion about things. And I think that it's like an ignorance is bliss type of approach because you're not really responsible for how you feel because you don't really know anything. I mean, you don't really know. You have no clue what you're talking about, but you do have these feelings. And as a person who is, I guess, having a more understanding thought about people and their feelings, um, with proper context, we can have a better understanding about why people feel these ways. And then the people who don't know what they're talking about, maybe if they have a moment to pause, then they can think about why they feel the way that they feel. Because a lot of times people know exactly what it is. They know exactly what's wrong. They can point to it, like if you tell a child to point to their nose, I guess unless the child hasn't learned where their nose is, but that kind of is what I'm talking about and isn't what I'm talking about tonight. The squad. Do you know who the squad is? Um, it's four members of the Democratic Party, four women. And these women, I don't know if they watch Set It Off or not. We got a lot of people who are, quote, American, but then they haven't seen some movies that people might consider classics. They say that they have the same camaraderie or the same story, or, we family, we people, but then maybe they didn't grow up on certain movies. And I'm not saying that I grew up on Set It Off or anything, but I am saying that maybe everybody didn't see that movie. Maybe they did see that movie. If they did, maybe they just felt like they were Queen Latifah and Jada Pinkett, and they were about to do some things about some things. And then, well, while they were doing some things, I guess they're getting exposed. And I guess you're only getting exposed if people can see you, right? That's what exposing is. If people don't see it, it's not exposure. Not really, because if you don't even know that it's happened, is it exposure? Have you been exposed if you don't know that stuff is out there that maybe you don't want out there? Maybe you exist in a place where you don't have to explain certain things. I exist in reality, and here in America, if the math ain't mathin', we have a system in place that's supposed to provide some sort of checks and balances. Like that's literally what it's called. It's called checks and balances. And as such, we've got different systems all existing at the same time. And they're supposed to be working together and simultaneously. Like if you have a car, your engine and your power steering and your windows are all going to need to work. While maybe things or components on those things don't work at any given time. If everything craps out all at the same time, that sucks. But, we do have the ability to fix things if you can afford it. right? If you have the resources, and check it, the people in the squad, if you look at how much money they make and then how much money they've accumulated or how much money they're worth, it's very interesting. You could, it's almost science fiction if you bring in a low six figures and then have a net worth of over $10 million dollars over the course of, I don't know, 2 years. And maybe you're going to say, well, they invested their money wisely. I mean, you'd have to invest your money extremely wisely to go from low six figures to over millions of dollars in a matter of 2 years, in a matter of less than a decade. I mean, I'm not talking about people who've been in the system for years, like the Bidens and the, 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 why can't I think of his name? The Bushes or the Kennedys for that matter. Some people's money makes sense because of when they got in, but then some people's money don't make sense at all to me. And I wonder if it makes any sense to you. If it makes sense to you, the chat's there for you. What's going on all the way free. So if you want to use the chat, it's there. I don't block people for having opinions or anything. I just really would like to know, do y'all have these thoughts? Because I find that when I jump down these rabbit holes and I'm uncovering information that I didn't know before and then fact checking it against reliable sources, or at least sources that I find reliable, that's what you have to do. If you're going to get information from somewhere else, you're going to have to put it up against something. You shouldn't just take anything for what it is, because then I guess you're just accepting the fact that you've got zero power at all right now. And it's funny that you would accept such a low position on the totem pole, because in this system, we have the power. Supposedly, we're supposed to have the power. At least our government is marching the planet, letting everybody know that you got to do things this way because this is how you get the people to agree with it. And when they spell it out, how they want people to define it, not like what's actually happening, but just, how they want the history books to write about it in 100 years. It sounds very democratic. It sounds like the people have a voice, because then when you look at the rest of the world, the people under these illusions of inclusion inside of these systems, inside of these places where our country's people in power have had any sort of influence. And then when the people rise up, it's like they're listening. Absolutely. They're listening to exactly what our country was founded on. It was these colonizers who didn't agree to being taxed out the anus for the right to just exist. I mean, they wanted to exist how they wanted to exist. They didn't want rules on the things as much as they wanted to be able to exist doing things. And then once they started fighting, the infighting of those people brought about other things. And then still, we're existing. That would be the melanated people on the planet. We've always been here and have been here. And whether our story was specifically interrupted or not, we've been interrupted, as a whole. So as Black America has, I guess, unglitched, or we are glitching against the system that's been working for a couple hundred years, there's other groups on the planet who are saying, hey, yeah, use that example and do some things. And then you find that 2% and 3% and 1% and 15 people are taking over. And then, well, use America as an example. People get very afraid of what January 6th looked like. And January 6th looked like a bunch of angry people who were exercising their right to gather and protest things. I mean, if you look at 2025, not 5 years later, you've got people in Congress protesting outside of the building that they could actually haul their butts into and do something about the things. I mean, that's literally the whole reason people voted for them. Like, it's you're supposed to go in there and do the things, not be out here with me protesting. What in the world is going on when you're out here with me, but I voted for you to be in there with them? What's going on? I I wonder, is everybody just a big old phony? Because to me, the phonies that we've been having to deal with, the tethers, everybody got mad about that word. I'm like, I don't know why you get mad when you just can use dictionary definition and understand that things are the way they are because we've allowed it for so long. So if you feel some kind of way, there's probably a Black American who feels worse. Let me just let you know, because we have this bleeding heart for everybody, and then nobody gives a damn about what's happening to us. And then, damn, we don't care about what's happening to us. We can have a bleeding heart for every other group on the planet and then see it happening with us and say, oh, that's just the way it is. We've got people over here who get a fresh fade. They are around the right people and then they say the dumbest things.
You are asking for cash. Then your reparations list ain't worth much.
That's what I said.
Because your reparations list should put you in a position to make all the money you want on your own. What you need to pay out from info. But Black people are so worried about money that we can't see the bigger picture. We also fail to recognize that reparations is not just for us living, it's for those gone and those not yet here.
Come on.
Every time I think about this man saying these things, it's like this light bulb or this ding, this bell, this alarm. And why didn't people have these questions back in the day when he was out here trying to psychologize the block? Because, when you ask questions, you have to remember to get the answer to the question. I know that a lot of us grew up in the No Child Left Behind era. So, not only have we turned into these test-taking robots that don't understand anything and have to show and prove everything, but we're forgetting that while we might have skipped the questions so that we could finish as much as we knew, you got to go back and answer the questions that you didn't answer yet, especially if it's one of those tests. Some tests don't let you go back. Yeah, I get it. But for the most part, you got time on pretty much any test that you're going to take in life. So going back and getting an answer to something that you haven't gotten the answer to is going to be the difference between a reparations check and
You as a psychologist, I'm not going to be able to psychologize all of them on the corner. Some of them going to sleep for good.
because, like, if people had asked questions when he had said things like this, do you think that we would be at a time where he can say things like this?
You are asking for cash. Then you're
Literally, this man, every single time he opens his mouth to speak on the internet, or I don't know, in person, because I've never met him in person, so just on the internet, because that's where I've seen you, you're asking for cash. Literally, you've said grit money. Like, you think that niggas love Quaker oat and cornmeal so much that we're spending, like, us specifically are spending any amount of money that you would ask for. Specifically, like you said, you wanted their grit money. You wanted our grit money. How is that not cash? How are you not asking for money for, not even for, I know why you're asking for money. They've made it very easy for us to do the handout approach because it's the stereotype that gets put on us because we've had to accept certain things, but is Black America the handout babies of the world, or is that somebody else? I think that there are other groups of people out here with their hands out, and if you don't want to be infantiled when I talk about you, then I'm gonna have to call you a tether, because it is the attachment to us that really makes me feel some kind of way. It's feeling very parasitic. It would be different if, when my back was itching, you were doing something to, you know, make me feel better. In the animal kingdom, you've got these tethered types of relationships. I've seen sharks and they got like a damn fish attached to it. But then there's a reason. They're both doing things together. I've also seen things like leeches. A leech can attach to something, but then are you benefiting from the leech, or is the leech benefiting from you? And okay, if you don't want to be called a tether, I guess you could be called a leech. But I thought leech and flea, I thought y'all didn't like either one of those terms because it was like the bug aspect. And maybe some people who have melanin that aren't in America like to eat bugs, so we don't want to do the bug analogy. Tether, it's like a rope. Yeah, look up the definition, y'all. I promise nobody was being offensive as much as the definition just fit. So when you think about a person who's not actually owed from this government saying things like
reparations list ain't worth much.
That's what I said.
Because your reparations list should put you in a position to make all the money you want on your own. What you need to pay out from info. But black people are so worried about money that we can't see the bigger picture. We also fail to recognize that reparations is not just for us living, it's for those gone and those not yet here.
Come on.
I ain't heard nobody talk about how much we're gonna put to the side for the generations unborn yet.
And I know I've labeled this the squad's secret agenda, but I just need y'all to see that there's a secret agenda amongst all of the tethers. They don't have to be a feminine or a dummycrat to have a secret agenda. They might sound like somebody that you just had some sort of Kwanzaa celebration with. You might be doing some sort of Black History Month celebration with a person who really doesn't like you at all. Like, they don't like you to the point where they don't want you to exist. Because if they wanted you to exist, then they would want you to exist how you're supposed to exist. And when there's a debt owed, then that means that your debt would need to be satisfied. And then how you exist would be completely up to you. And then everything makes sense. The maths. But no, we've got these people here who've been around for a little while, and they've got such thoughts, and they're not even owed. And I know y'all say, well, they were born here, Eve. They are American. They have citizenship because they were born here. But then, well, the boogeyman, number 47, number 45 and 47, the orange guy, that guy that y'all love to hate, President Trump, said that being born here isn't going to be used anymore, or at least come February 19th. So in 5 days, we'll be able to see if Trump really meant what he said when he said that the 14th Amendment was specific to the group of people that I descend from. That would be the foundation of this country. That would be the native niggas to this land. And he didn't call us niggas. And how cool is that? Like, if you can just, put on a mask when it matters, then aren't you the politician that we need? Because we just existed in a time where the people that were elected couldn't even put on a mask when it mattered. We had an old man going through some sort of mental decline, telling people he was ready to go to sleep. And then we had a woman who he had passed the torch down to, fighting, clawing, and gnawing his way. He didn't want to do that, but okay, he did it. And then when he did it, it didn't quite matter because merit was missing. And then the next president coming in says merit is what matters. And while a lot of us understood that didn't really matter when it came to us, it did matter when it came to these other people, because we were written into the law before everybody else, if we're going to use the law. And as such, that means that there's a priority on things. Without one thing, there isn't another thing. Without our rights, women don't get the right to vote. That means Becky doesn't get the right to vote. Neither does Susan. Neither does Alexandria get the ability to do anything that makes 2025 a time to exist in. I mean, really.
With a lot of immigrants, know your rights. That's one tangible thing you can do that I want you to do. And that means know your rights if you are a US citizen as well. Okay?
If you are a US citizen as well. Who was she talking to at first?
Here's one way that we're going to create some friction in this system. Tom Homan, who's directing a lot of these ICE operations nationally, etc., he went on TV practically crying. This dude was whining his ass off because ICE went into the city of Chicago, and Chicago had prepared for them. Community organizers, activists, and their mayor and local elected officials who were solid on this issue, they educated the city on their legal rights. Because what ICE tries to do is that they rely on people not knowing their rights in order to enter buildings, in order to search workplaces.
I'm sorry. That's just sounding like, I don't know, like how Black people have been treated ever since they, well, again, wrote us into the law. Because before writing us into the law, they weren't really talking about us at all, as much as if all lives matter, then everybody's written into the law already. And the fact that there have been amendments, all of these things are null and void. You know, our Constitution, being a living body of rules and regulation, is not being used to its fullest potential. I'm not sitting here saying that we need to rewrite everything, as much as, I mean, come on, you guys. Y'all all had the same understanding that there didn't need to be a Black Lives Matter movement, as much as, well, Black lives are being affected all over the planet. And then here in this country specifically, there's a very distinct group of melanated people that have called themselves Black since they were allowed to talk to each other. And when that happened, well, a lot of different names have been given to them, and the only one that seems to have stuck was Black. From there, well, they do exist in America, and, well, if these other people are going to be American, they're going to have to be American too, right? Like, you've got Native American. These are people who don't agree with the law or the government, but they are also classified as American. Like, if you don't agree with the things, then you don't get the name, unless you do agree with some things. You can't have it both ways. And if you have it both ways, then we're going to have to call it both things. And then, well, now we've got transsexuals. That's a person who's got both things at some point in their life. I mean, because really, if you add something to you, does that make you it? I don't know. That's a different conversation for another night. We're not exposing anybody's genitals tonight, but we are exposing some agendas. And as much as that community has an agenda tonight, well, illegals. If you're not supposed to be here, you're already breaking the law. So to have people in positions of power telling you how to break the law when you're here, that is, if it's not treasonous, it's got to be a fireable offense. Like, don't you work for America? And I know we're going to have to get to Elon at some point tonight, but
etc. So when you know your rights, you are able to tell them no.
what rights do you have as an illegal? Because these rights that they're talking about are for legal migrants, people who are lawfully here. If you are here unlawfully, you have no rights. And I don't understand why that needs to be exposed. But literally, like, you just got here, and yeah, you're getting benefits and tangibles and resources, and yeah, all of that is strange. But to think that you have rights, and then y'all, they've started comparing this to slavery. We didn't have any rights. You could just kill a nigga. Really, straight up, they had to make a law saying, actually, we're going to have to slow down on y'all just killing niggas because we're running out of workers. I guess workers is the word that I was going to say, but it doesn't really do what I wanted it to do, because when I think about work, I think about getting paid. I mean, we haven't been working for free as much as we've been working for them. And as soon as you expose that and you start to make a decision about whose time you're on, that's when things start to change. You know, you can take the time to dive down a rabbit hole that is this woman who, you know, she kind of came out of nowhere. AOC is as foreign to me as how Obama was foreign to people in Chicago, but the rest of the country was seeing this thing like, whoa, look at all of this activism, and look at this guy, and wow, he's just doing all of these things. And it's like, where'd you come
Native, so I pay a lot of attention to New York politics. What was the game plan? What was your theory of the case of why you could?
You know, from day one, I have been an educator in this community, an organizer, and I knew the people who lived here. I knew our community, and I knew that in this election, our main task was to educate and expand the electorate. And, you know, folks say that that's the hardest thing to do, to get people to turn out to an off-year midterm primary. But I knew that if you could really inspire and educate people and stick to the issues and do the block by block, door.
Because I'm a Bronx native, so I pay a lot of attention to New York politics. What was the game plan? What was your theory of the case of why you could?
You know, from day one, I have been an educator in this community, an organizer, and I knew the people who lived here. I knew our community, and I knew that.
You know, with a name like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you could be as bigoted as me and think that she wasn't born here. You know, it's giving immigrant. But no, she was born in the Bronx, in New York City, October 13, 1989. So she's only a couple years younger than I am. And she was born here. So when she says that she knows the people, she does. You know, this is like part of the secret agenda. You have to be of the people to be, quote, grassroots, unquote. And then to act like you are of the foundation, well, now we're talking about like astroturf and actual grass. You know, one is going to be green all year and one isn't. I mean, things die in the winter. And then, you know, when spring comes, when the earth is warming itself, it, you know, using its gravitational pull with the sun and doing all the things with the photosynthesis, the chemical changes, if you will, all of these things happening. Well, you got new growth. You've got new ideas, new light, new life being pushed. And I mean, it's being pushed out. Some of these things are unavoidable. Some of our movements, the common sense of it all, it's unavoidable. The same way that, you know, the person didn't expect the great white shark that it's been swimming with for the past 10 years to decide that today was the day that it was going to chomp down on old buddy of mine. I mean, it's a great white shark. You're in its environment. Maybe you look like food today. I don't know. It's an animal. Like, I don't even speak animal. So how are we having such controlling thoughts about things unless it's something else? And then when you think about the something else, you can dive down whatever rabbit hole you want to. I know that it's going to expose an agenda. And if you are of this land, everybody else wants to be of this land. Maybe our land is special. I don't know. I haven't had that much time, but I have seen people trying to implant themselves, tether to this land specifically. And I can only look at what I've learned. And yeah, I don't know everything. I'm not the authority on things as much as I know what I know. And I know that what I've learned, when you come from somewhere else, when you come from something else, you might have a different thought about things.
That in this election, our main task was to educate and expand the electorate.
What does that mean, expand the electorate? Okay, you got it. It means more people are voting. But then who are these other people? Because if you're American, if you're not voting, it's because you don't want to vote or you're not allowed to vote. Like, you've gotten your rights taken. You're not allowed to anymore. So you might want to, but you don't have the resources to get things expunged or taken off your life account, if you will. So you're just going to have to deal with things. But then these other people, damn, if they don't have way more on their life account, and then they get to get here and start a new life. I mean, the land of the free, the land of the brave. Who are these brave people, and who is free when we got to all pay for water and utilities? I mean, we got solar power now and we still paying utilities, but I digress.
Right. And, folks say that that's the hardest thing to do, to get people to turn out to an off-year midterm primary. But I knew that if you could really inspire and educate people and stick to the issues and do the block by block door knocking and phone calling, that you can get it done. Old school meets, new school digital.
So
just think about where she's from. She's from New York City. New York City is a place that has been infiltrated by people who are not from here. I mean, literally, Ellis Island is like in the vicinity, right? The place where all of the original immigrants, if you will, they came there, they got their little polio checkup, they got their tetanus checkup, they got their do you have lice and scabies checkup. Yes, you did come from a place that might have been experiencing the bubonic plague or the black plague or something with typhoid Mary. Who knows? You come from somewhere that don't got stuff. You came through Ellis Island. For the most part, they put a whole plaque there talking about the world's wretched. Come here. Because, we got things. And what they were saying is, we have things, but we only have a limited amount of time to claim these things before these niggas wake up. And damn it, if we didn't wake up in time, because now we get to talk about these things. This woman who is not white, but she's not black, in a place where there was only black at first, but no, not classified that. And then when the white came, it's almost like, well, no, I won't talk about y'all's crusty mouths in the morning, but I will say that when the white came, it was this interruption on everything. And now it's like a fast forward into a vegetable stew. America is this vegetable stew of a bunch of people who don't really belong together as much as you can make it work. You know, the majority of the planet is not vegan as much as you could be. And as such, I think vegetable stew is going to be America for me tonight. So, without further ado, I'm going to let you listen to AOC say one more thing before I switch it to another thing.
So do you do door knocking yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I've knocked on a bunch of doors in the district.
I mean,
Think about that. She's not ugly. And I'm not gonna pause as much as I know that was a pause, right? I don't think that she's ugly. I think that when anybody Google searches AOC, let me just do it myself. I'm gonna show y'all. Look, AOC. Oh, that's funny as shit. That's not the picture that popped up earlier tonight when I Google searched her. That's not the picture that popped up. So either my AI is just being funny tonight, or these other pictures that I saw earlier are what you guys would see when you Google search her. And for the most part, you can tell when it's a caricature versus when, you know, maybe it's just a little bit of Photoshop, a little filter, you know, there's nothing glaring per se, but also I'm not of the sex that gives a damn about how she looks. I'm just saying that I get, well, honestly, seeing this picture, if this woman was knocking on my door, this woman right here, I'd be terrified. But if this woman was knocking on my door, I get why a lot of y'all probably opened your door and, you know, let her in and said, you know, you got time for what she has to say, right? Because she doesn't look like some of these other women that I'm going to show you tonight. And no, I'm not colorist. I'm very much a person dealing with the system of racism, white supremacy. So y'all are just gonna have to excuse me. Moving on. This woman, she knocked door to door.
I mean, one of the ironies here, this is a little bit of the weeds, but I think it's fascinating, is that like New York has this totally screwy primary system that is designed to decrease turnout so that machine party candidates and incumbents can win because they figure they're the only people who are going to show up.
Yeah.
And it literally came back to shoot them.
Yeah, well, it's the thing, you know, there are kind of notorious political machines. You have the Illinois, you have like the Chicago political machine.
Chicago? Did she just say Chicago was corrupt?
You know, there are kind of notorious political machines. You have the Illinois, you have like the Chicago political machine that Barack Obama famously kind of.
Okay, she didn't say corrupt, but she did say that it was a political machine. So them using Chicago now for their notorious hiding people who are already breaking the law scheme. You know, why people get confused that President Trump is our president again will confuse me for days to come, because this was bound to happen. I mean, Tom Homan, that maths in a way that 2 + 2 = 4. But the way that we just existed under Joe Biden's presidency, some of y'all are out here saying 2 + 2 = 2T2.
You got AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out.
Say what you want about this man's inability to string words together. You know, Kamala having all the experience she's had around all of the people she's been around, she couldn't string words together to make anything make sense. But he's doing his darndest. And god dang it, if he's not making all of the sense. Like he straight told us that he doesn't freaking know, but he done consulted with the people who are supposed to know. And when he finds out, he's gonna get to the bottom of it. I mean, how much more do y'all want from these people? Because to me, well, I didn't vote for this cabinet of people. I didn't vote for the president that we have. I also didn't vote for what the Democrats who've been promising things to my people for years and then reneging on the promises. I didn't do that either. I voted for me. You know, my own self-interests were exposed, and there's no secret. I'm owed. A lot of us are owed, but a lot of us have been dealing with people like this.
Psychologist, I'm not going to be able to psychologize all of them on the corner.
Literally, you go to somebody for help, and then the person who's supposed to be helping, not only do they not like you and you don't know it, but they don't want to help you. They want to.
Some of them going to sleep for God.
I mean, really, what did people expect from a person who is trying to put people to sleep for good? What does that mean, Umar? Unless it means what I think it means. And if it means what I think it means, then shame on you. Because these boys on the corner that you're unable to psychologize might be unpsychologizable because you don't speak their language. I mean, they might not even be Black American like that as much as if you got Jamaicans and Dominicans and Haitians and Black Americans and Nigerians and a whole bunch of melting pot shit going on. Excuse my French tonight. But if you've got a whole bunch of people who were not forced together in the same way that the foundation of this country was forced together, in the same form that you force concrete together after you pour some liquid in there, you know, you mix it up and then you can't help the foundation that's built. I mean, it's unmovable for the most part. I mean, yeah, you can make little bits of concrete and you can break it up and you can move it. And yeah, let's not get into the semantics of what I said. Let's just feel what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is that we were forced together in a time where we had to be together, and us choosing ourselves over everything else meant that we get to exist in 2025. These other groups of people didn't choose themselves. They chose to flee. They chose to tether on to a group of people who chose themselves. So because they look the part, and we exist in a time where I'm white and I say so says that if you're not white, then you don't automatically get benefits, provisions, resources, and tangibles. You know, you're going to have to show us some things. We're going to have to see some things. You're going to have to do some things. And after you do some things, then, you know, we'll talk about it. Well, these things are being exposed, and for what it's worth, if we're gonna have politicians and know that they are slimy individuals who don't really care about their constituents as much as they like being the people in charge of things, then when you have a person who's in charge of things saying that they don't know everything, but they're gonna try to find out, it sounds very human, very people. And why would I look down on that when I don't know these things? Maybe y'all know these things. Do y'all know? Do y'all know specifically if what AOC is doing is against the law? Because it's not just her, y'all. It's not just her. I think this is it.
If the American people do not wake up to what is being created, we might not have an opportunity to fight back the authoritarian dictatorship that is in the making.
Now, authoritarian dictatorship is not in the making. Ilhan Omar doesn't understand that we exist in an oligarchy disguised as a democracy existing with capitalism as our economic driver. So, a dictatorship? No, it's never going to be a dictatorship here because no one person is going to ever get power here. This entire invasion, conquest, colonization effort, and renaming, reestablishing, re-civilizing, or re-establishing civilization here, all of that was never going to be a dictatorship. Literally, the people who fled here from where they came, Europe and shit, they wanted to do things their own way, and it was a they. It wasn't just a one person set out to. There was no Mansa Can Musa of the invasion. Mansa Musa came to America by himself with his people and disrupted the economy over here. They don't have people like that, like one person who can come do anything as much as their one person is going to rely on a bunch of other things. All of everything, the formula has to be precise for this specific group of people to rise to power. And then from there, everything has to be very precise for them to maintain power. You can look at history and see that once a certain group rises to power, things fizzle out very quickly. And there's a very real and already defined pattern there. So for her to come here and say that we're about to exist inside of a dictatorship means that she already doesn't understand some things. She's not read Mr. Neely Fuller. Her big old sunglasses that look like my old sunglasses that I don't wear anymore, and her turban that everybody used to be afraid of that isn't afraid of anymore because you're all woke now. And, she's not threatening to you. But everything out of this woman's mouth is very dangerous.
If the American people do not wake up to what is being created, we might not have an opportunity to fight back.
Who is she talking about? Because she was not born here. She's actually not a 14th Amendment baby. She's a legit immigrant who got papers at some point in her life. Right? Hold on. Let's not lie. Eve, don't lie. Ilhan Omar was born where? Mogadishu. Ilhan Omar was born October 4th, 1982. Oh, snappled apples. Guess who else was born in October? I already told you. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was also born in October. And I don't know if that means anything. Two people on the squad are both born in October. Yes, if you've tuned in to me for a little while, I can get real plebiscite-ish with the signs, the numbers, the zodiacs, and the stars. I love it in space. But reality check, we don't exist in space. And the people who owe us don't exist in space as much as they're trying to get there very fast. And I think that when they get there, they're going to be like, don't owe you anymore because I'm not there. But if that is the case and they kind of leave us here and they go to space, then maybe I'll take it, because it means that we'll have the ability to do the things that need to be done. I don't know. That's like a, again, plebiscite type of thought. Reality, this woman who is as brown as me, that's me. No, you can't get me live tonight. I am not internet appropriate. Hair ain't did. I need some lotion or Vaseline or something on my knuckles and whatnot, and, well, some things that need to be laid the right way before, we'll turn on the camera. But this woman, she can throw on a turban and don some big old shades and be appropriate for the public. And then not only is she existing in an America where all of this niggeration that you see on your screen would have been, why isn't your hair straightened, and why you got them big old glasses on, and what you got that do-rag on your head for, trying to talk to people? We've had to, man, the masks we've had to wear to exist comfortably, uncomfortably, and then these people can be born in Mogadishu talking about if the American people don't wake up. Ma'am, you weren't even born here, but you're here.
The authoritarian dictatorship that is in the making. This is not just about going after.
Honestly, I mean, to exist in an oligarchy, I think that a dictatorship might be better, because it'd really just kind of like be one person versus like this group that we can't see, can't touch, can't talk about, because then shit starts getting disrupted and glitching, and it's all shadowy and undercover and just real sneaky. A dictatorship seems like you would know exactly who to talk to about some things, but I digress.
Public education. This is about going after the systems of governance we have in this country. Elon Musk, who grew up in apartheid? Yes. Trump, who worships dictators around the country? And strongmen are not interested in our constitutional republic.
Okay, so she calls them strong men and then says that they're not interested in the constitutional republic. I just saw today Trump tweeted, it might be tomorrow at this point, or maybe it's 12 hours or something like that. I'm sorry, it might be more than 12 hours at this point, but I saw Trump tweeting today, literally words from the people who wrote the Constitution, and essentially it was along the lines of, when things are unconstitutional, you can't be breaking the law. There is no law that is broken when it is the country that is at stake. And remember, I'm thinking about what I learned in school. I mean, the country was founded with these white men saying that they were not going to be taxed on everything, not the tea, not travel, not nothing. Like, you don't get a say in the money that we've made, as much as we will agree to pay a certain amount of money to make things go round. And the amount of money that we pay, yeah, we're not actually going to make it ourselves. We're going to force these people to do this work that we can't do ourselves, because we've figured out a way in. And the way in is just self first. And, well, for whatever reason, these people who've been here for a long time, they're very interested in us. Maybe they just tired of seeing the same thing. They like the exotic aspect of it all. I don't know. Like, I saw this thread on Twitter, and I'm going to have to just segue here for a moment, because the thread was about how if the person that you're sleeping with has been with a white person or not because of how they do things in the bedroom. And I'm doing my best to not be super spicy with the words because it's not about the spice content. Yeah, we do season things, but it's about what I'm talking about, really. If there is a way to tell if someone's been with a white person because of how they do the thing that they are designed to do, like biologically, you're designed to be able to do something with the opposite thing, right? And then there's a way. It's like, well, maybe y'all like certain smells. Maybe you like what it smells like after you take the dog for a walk and it's been raining and you didn't give it a bath, so that sulfur, it's exotic. You're not used to it. I don't know. I have no idea why some of y'all have this fixation, but I think that they understood that, in a survival aspect, to the point where, yeah, take this pheromone that you're not able to identify right now and get sleepy off of it, because hopefully you'll never wake up. And then in 2025, you got everybody woke. Everybody's woke. They are woke. We're woke. Them other people are woke. And in their wokeness, they're using the racist framers' words against us because we allowed them access over here. No, we're going to have to expose these people for the agenda, because it's no secret. If you in 2025 don't know that your real estate here in America is worth everything, and you've seen with your own eyeballs that people are attaching themselves to airplanes, wings, cargo on top of the hoods of cars, getting to the Canadian border where, I guess, do they not have guns? I don't know, because there was this one video I showed a couple weeks ago, and the way these people were at the border talking to law enforcement about breaking the law, just very blatantly, comfortably. Yes, we know we're breaking the law and we still are going to do it anyway. It's like, do they not carry guns? Because here in America, when you're up against law enforcement and they're like, hey, you're breaking the law. Not only do we never get that grace, you've never seen it. And if you have, just correct me in the comments or in the chat. But you've never seen law enforcement on camera telling somebody, hey, you're breaking the law, if they're Black, and then giving them the opportunity to fix it before they've gotten hemmed up and all sorts of extras have been added onto it. I mean, we've had to go to court fighting things that we were not guilty of. Children have been hemmed up by law enforcement, handcuffed, and slammed to the ground because of a mistaken identity. I mean, children, literally, 13-year-old Black girl gets mistaken identity hemmed up because she fit the description. There's no way in the world that you're going to tell me a 13-year-old Black child fits the description of an adult woman who did anything. Period. I'm sorry. And then, yeah, there's people out here saying, I saw a Black man and he was doing something. When that cop pulls up and sees that it's a child, now it's up to the cop to not be a racist white supremacist or soldier of racism, white supremacy, because, like I said, you ain't never seen it because it doesn't exist. Not to the point where it's on camera like that. Because if it were, then you wouldn't have people in my comments right now, literally right now at 12:03 on February 16, telling me that the white boy saying the N-word, getting dangled by his left leg, is fake. It's a skit. That doesn't happen. It's staged. It's stagged. It's staged. Stagged. Eve, it's stagged. It's a skit. Right. All of these things are skits. They're jokey jokes, right? Everything's a joke until it comes time to fight for what's yours. And then we're joking, and these other people who've infiltrated, who've tethered their way in.
They are not interested in upholding our democracy.
But they are. The people she's talking about are as American as the Constitution at this point, because people who are not from here taking from here are breaking the law. At least the racist framers of the Constitution wrote that into the law because they didn't want what was theirs stolen from them, right? They gave a caveat, like, look, anything that we get from now on is ours. And if that's the case, well, then it's ours. Ours because my family and people worked for it first, and there wouldn't be anything to talk about if there hadn't been all of this free labor. And ours because I'm an American now. And as an American, I say that there's a priority that needs to be considered. And if we're not going to consider the priority of things, then maybe things need to be rewritten. And if you're ready to fight for it, let's do that. I'm tired of all this talking about these things with these people who are known to be violent against us. I mean, really. Look, I'm going to have to play this one with no sound because I don't want any type of a copyright tonight. But this guy is on vacation in Somalia. That's where Ilhan Omar is from. And as beautiful as it is, y'all, look at, did you see it? In the first 15 seconds. This is where Ilhan Omar is from. And let's speed this up a notch, because I want you to get the full effect, right? And Mogadishu, right? I told you that's where she was born, in Mogadishu. And while this video is supposed to give everybody the comfort of knowing that it's not as bad as the rest of the world is trying to tell you it is, maybe you'll pick up on it. For your background music tonight, we're going to have a sampling of Yoshimari.
I'm calling Ayos. I'm calling eyes on you. 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 Stop and listen. I hear carnival music in my district. Loud and annoying. The thumping just keep coming. I'm calling eyes on you. 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 I'm calling eyes.
Now, isn't that beautiful? I mean, that water is blue, y'all. If the water here at Virginia Beach was as blue, I would be thrilled. It's not. The water here at Virginia Beach is, it's like a greenish, brownish, and I know they're going to say it's the algae, but if you take a gander back in the archives, I think I have a video where there are people defecating and crabbing and fishing all in the swimming and recreation areas of Virginia Beach. So Maybe the coloring is because people are not treating the land respectfully. If you're not of the land, maybe you don't treat the land with respect. But I wonder, did y'all see the soldiers in the streets with the guns? Did y'all see this right here? He's basically saying that every time they stop the car, they're surrounded by these men. And yeah, these men, they got melanin, y'all. So it's not like people haven't been around melanated people with weapons before. No, it's not that. It's that these people are coming here expecting something else. When, remember what I said at the beginning of my show? If you haven't gotten the answer to one question and then you're expecting to ace the test, you're not going to, because you missed that one question. And it's got such a big implication on our lives because people are skipping questions left and right. People are being elected into positions of power, and then they get to tell people how to break the law when being a person who, she looks like she could be in my family. I mean, really, she's as brown as people in my family and as brown as people in some of y'all's family. And we've not even broken the law. I mean, just the fact that we look like this has been enough to make people mad enough to do things. But then she can exist now saying things like this.
They are not interested in abiding by the Constitution and sidestep the congressional powers we have in our country.
Sidestepping the Constitution is literally what people are doing when they say the 14th Amendment was for people who were born here. The law is so explicit that they had to write us into it. So it's written very explicitly. The 14th Amendment is not for people who were born here. If that were the case, Native Americans, the fake Native Americans, or the Asian Americans who don't want to be Asian right now, and they got melanin, so they can't be white, and they got here before the colonizers got. Those people, they had to be written into the Constitution too. And it wasn't until like 1924, 1994. I don't know. It was the 1900s at this point, way after the 14th Amendment. So they were also born here, and they had to be written into the Constitution.
They are not interested in abiding by the court orders that our judiciary system is doling out.
You know, not abiding by court orders that our system look, I believe that productive conversations don't take all day, but I also know that when we don't have these conversations all the time, it's a lot to unpack at once. So trying to be concise, but also trying to make sure that the full point is received. I need y'all to check this out. Check this here. Real quick. If this person was knocking on your door for any extended period of time, this person right here with the shiny bald head, look, you might not open the door, and AOC might have an end when it comes to door-to-door sales of some things because, well, I get it. Everybody's not everybody's cup of tea.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you everyone for braving the inclement weather as we gather to take an essential step forward in the long and ongoing fight for justice, accountability, and healing for Black America. Today, I'm deeply honored to reintroduce H.R. 40, historic legislation to establish a federal commission to examine the lasting legacy of slavery, to develop reparations proposals for descendants of enslaved Africans. It is an honor to inherit the privilege of carrying this bill forward. From Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. In my last correspondence,
You know, her crying, it made me think about the fact that people are still commenting right now at 12:14, 16 days after the video that I posted on February 1st. And it is her tears that remind me we need to have a moment of silence. The amount of funerals that I attended from people dying and my comments because they understand that things aren't going to be the same anymore. And as much as I want to correct every single comment that says we're not our ancestors, like y'all don't know your ancestors if you think that your ancestors didn't fight back. Also, you've been lied to. I mean, you've been lied to a lot. And there were more than 3 uprisings.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this. What's up?
Called you a nigga, bro.
Hey, this white man just called me a nigga in Augusta, Georgia at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me that?
What are you talking about? You're a nigga, bro.
That's crazy.
My mommy and daddy are
Hey,
black,
it's a black man working here. You gonna serve this man?
My mommy and daddy are black, so I can.
I don't give a fuck who the fuck. I don't care who you're raised by. Why are you calling me that?
Bro, because you're a nigga,
I don't even know you. You a bum.
bro.
If I put my hands on you, I'm gonna go to jail, though,
You're
right?
not gonna do shit, nigga.
I'm not gonna do shit.
You're not gonna do
I'm not gonna do shit. 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 I'm not gonna. I'll drop you.
You know, the way that y'all was all Wakanda forever, I don't understand why we can't use examples. I thought that's what y'all did. When y'all saw Black Panther and Chadwick Bowman, Chadwick, I can't think of how to say his last name right now, so my bad, Chadwick. But he was a hell of a Black Panther for everybody. I mean, he was so good that the white people hate watched him into legacydom. So for y'all to be the people who Wakanda forever y'all selves into voting for people who don't like you, I don't understand why there's been so much hate in the comments. Like, and when I said that out loud right now, I guess I got it. The hate watching makes sense. Y'all don't want people to know that these are real events happening. All of it, from the people who look like me, who want to take everything from you. Like, you didn't expect these people to become uppity niggas, right? Because you already had dealt with the uppity niggas. Like, these other niggas, sand niggas, bean niggas, whatever they are, they should know their place because they chose to come here. They knew exactly what was going on. Still, they chose to come here, so they already know they already know what's up. But no, now they're feeling themselves a little bit. They're getting up and feeling like they got some sort of cojones, right? Like, this woman was born here.
Contended with, but they are turnout machines. Those are people that can know how to turn out 40,000 people for a given candidate, with the snap of a finger. But New York relies on voter suppression and voter depression, as we joke about. And
why would you joke about voter depression unless you're a person who didn't have to go through the Voting Rights Act of America? I mean, really, they had our ancestors guessing how many pieces of bubble gum were in a dish in order to vote. And in 2025, you can get a ballot in your native language. Like, you don't have to speak English to vote for the president who speaks English. They'll make it accessible for you.
And what it does is, it means that sometimes a congressional race can be decided with less votes than a city council race.
I mean, turnout in your district yesterday was like 12%, I think. And some it was, 10, 5% in the uncontested one. So it was 12% is higher than it would have been if you were not in that race, for sure. Let me ask you about this.
12% of the people who can vote voted for this woman who has the mic and has our border czar in a tizzy.
Where is that line that they cross? So
Did you hear him? He's stuttering. She has him stuttering, y'all.
Where is that line that they cross? So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because impediment is impediment, in my opinion.
He is not the authority, right? Like, I love it. 2025, the year of people saying, I'm not the person, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I kind of love it because we've existed in a time where people have been like, trust me, bro. Like, you don't have to worry about me, right? Because, well,
legacy of slavery to develop reparations proposals for descendants of enslaved Africans.
Descendants of enslaved Africans. That's not quite right. No, it's descendants of American chattel slavery. It is the native blacks who were here, and their story got interrupted because these white people said that they wanted something else. These people who were moved and forced off of their land onto other parts of the same land because they knew how to work the land. I mean, come on, you guys. Like, people saying that Mexicans work in the orange fields and groves because they know how. They come from tropical place, God damn it. Like, it's going to be very interesting to show me a person who doesn't have some sort of background, biologic knowledge, and then is able to come over here and just stunt on the people who are keeping us away from things. But look at the roofing industry, right? You've got more people who don't speak English in that industry than you've got people keeping us out of the industry. And the only reason is because those people who fled the land that they fled from came from a place where they don't have all of what we have here. The infrastructure's not there. So they've actually had to build things from scratch. So while they don't speak English and maybe they use the metric system, maybe they don't use no system. They do know some things. But I'm sorry, you're not about to have a whole construction crew that don't speak English working on the roads coming from a place that doesn't have pavement. And it makes sense. I'm sorry. It's not going to make sense. None of it's going to make sense. You're probably still going to have crazy potholes. And unless they are just, I don't know, outside that bell curve, I wouldn't expect it. I'm going to have to say I'm being stereotypical here. Of course, anybody can do anything if you put your mind to it. And for what it's worth, this guy wanted to be famous for saying the N-word.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this. What's up?
Called you a nigga, bro.
Hey, this white man just called me a nigga in Augusta, Georgia at the Waffle House.
So whether this is stagged or not, he wanted to be famous for saying the N-word. And in a time where a lot of people are having to experience blackness, I mean, really, they are being left in the dark, forgotten about. Like, the light has been turned off. No going past go. You don't get any benefits, segues, no, because you are in proximity to, because you are light enough. No. You don't fit the specific description, then it sucks to be you. And then you're going to buy into the tethers because it's going to seem like help. You know, when we say reparations and you say, well, the root word of reparations is repair, really, we get the root sound being like this is a pattern. Something that's happening needs to continue to happen in order for it to make sense. All of it makes sense when you have time to sit down. And exposures, I mean, yeah, you can have like a little flash show. You can moon somebody, you know, you can make somebody uncomfortable quickly. But the way that these people have been here, 1989 is when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was born here. Look, I don't know if she was born here of people from here as much as her name is giving. Somebody in her story ain't from here. And then from there, if the 14th Amendment has been bastardized and just raped and pillaged so that any and everybody can use it, and now we're tightening the reins and saying you can't use it anymore, then she would be in the population of people who are breaking the law. Her entire existence is her breaking the law. And then 1989 is just, it's just a year that really moves me, because while I was only 2, HR 40 was born.
It is an honor to inherit the privilege of carrying this bill forward.
She's crying about a bill talking about studying issues that have been studied since they had to acknowledge that we were talking about things. Like, if they never had to acknowledge us, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But not only did we say, yes, we're going to make a mark on things as soon as we get a chance, we've not stopped. Callie House and them, and I say and them because it's more than Callie House, but Callie House and them, it's not stopped. And as much as they've been able to use people that we've adored and admired and respected as ways to snuff out things, some of these things can't be snuffed out. You can't sit here and study something that everybody is now in agreement with has been studied and cry about it not being passed when...
From Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Is that the woman who said that she couldn't define what it was to be a woman? Because I think it was.
In my last correspondence with her, she said, keep working on our priorities and never give up. Today, I'm deeply honored to reintroduce HR 40, historic legislation to establish a...
Reintroduce means that it's been introduced, reparations. Without the re. How do we make things make sense if we don't go back over it? And yeah, that's where we got stuck on stupid, because we said, yeah, our ancestors mean more than a check. And then we in real time lose out on funds that we are owed because it's not enough. No, it's not going to be enough, but damn it, if it's not a start. And if you're a person who doesn't want what's owed to you, then I think that you should have the ability to pay it forward. I mean, I can go to Starbucks right now and pay for the person in the drive-thru behind me on some pay it forward, and y'all idiots will make it go viral because, oh, look at how considerate it was for it to be 15 people to have paid it forward, when American people all agree that there is a group of people who are owed. And then American people have all agreed that it would make everybody uncomfortable to do that thing. And then everybody around the world agrees that sometimes doing the right thing is hard. And then we have to take people that we know are racist. I mean, really, this woman on your screen, she'll say she's not a racist. And Tom Homan, he'll say he's not a racist. But
so I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment, it's impediment in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean,
the only reason that there's this back and forth is because these other groups have tethered on to our fight. If we didn't have this fight, they would have no backing. And when I say this, I mean this with the utmost respect. Our fight that these people have tethered onto means that we don't exist anymore. The fact that they have any priority means we don't exist anymore. But there's too many of us to not exist. The math ain't mathin'. So I get it. Everybody used to use it. Everybody can say the math ain't mathin'. I mean, literally, if you don't have what you want at the time that you want it in 2024, 2025, you can say the math ain't mathin' and it'll make sense. But the math does indeed math. And tonight, exposed. Well, the squad, the fact that they named themselves the squad, that should have exposed something back then. But okay, it takes time for us to pay attention. You know, we only know about the zodiacs because thousands of years had passed before we could recognize a pattern, and thousands of years had passed before we could recognize a pattern, and that's a lot of time. I am asking y'all to do the impossible. Take a little bit of time and look at that pattern. Can you see a pattern? Because when I saw this video and decided to clip it, I saw a pattern immediately. I know black men like this.
Yeah, why are you calling me that?
What are you talking about? You're a nigga, bro.
That's crazy.
My mommy and daddy.
Hey.
In the comments, you got people saying that y'all are talking too much. It would have been hands on sight. I don't know about that. I don't know those black men. I know black men who exercise restraint, and maybe that's just our proximity to people who used to be able to harm us with impunity. You know, you have to exercise restraint because of unintended consequences to your family. Not to you, but to the people around you. Like, yeah, you can get all big and bad and you can seek justice and you can do these things. And then everybody around you gets fucked up. Again, excuse my language, but y'all are going to have to excuse that one, because really, for people to have lived in a town like Oscarville and it have been flooded, to have to say things like, remember the Punch Bowl. And I know some of y'all don't even know where the Punch Bowl is, but some of y'all do. And these places that were flooded and burned to the ground, and Tulsa, Wall Street, out of existence, but are a blip in somebody's memory. You know, we're going to have to accept all of the symbols, and then a lot of y'all have. Because really, we're over 5,000 subs in a matter of days, and outside of giving YouTube its props for lifting the shadow ban for Black History Month, I can just appreciate the fact that y'all have Wakanda forevered over here on my channel, understanding that it doesn't matter if it's real or fake, because in reality, you will have.
Hey, it's a black man working here. You gonna serve this man?
Daddy got a black, so
I don't give a fuck.
You will have people who are not going to do anything about what they hear. You are going to have people like the guy in the red shirt in the background.
Who the fuck? I don't care who you're raised by. Why are you calling me that? I don't even know you. You a bum. If I put
Look, he called him a bum. I mean, if that's not practicing restraint. Okay, yeah. So it's Stagged Eve. It's a skit. You dumb niggers. You know, I had to bleep out the R so that YouTube would let me get the comment out, but I had to tell you how dumb you N-words are over on this channel for thinking that this is real. That's because you haven't fucked around and found out in real life. this Black History Month, I would love to see it. I mean, expose it, like put it on camera, like go to your nearest Black town and just do what you see. Let me know how it went for you, because I guarantee, I mean, literally, I'll put money on it.
If I put my hands on you, I'm gonna go to jail, though, right?
The Black person that you encounter is going to understand the law. They're going to understand that putting hands on a person for saying anything means that we're going to be held to the highest extent of the law. Because, I mean, we're Black. We are the moral compass, right?
I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit.
But you know, it is that 3 times you're out, that strike 3 for me, because I know that Black man, and I know y'all know that Black man too, and so many of y'all know that Black man. So many of y'all are that Black man that when you saw,
I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna. I'll drop you.
while the people in the comments are trying to say that we're exposing the divisiveness of the country, and yes, Trump brought this in, and Trump the boogeyman, he's just exposing how divisive we are. Look in the comments, y'all. I have never seen so many Black people and white people in agreement. Disrespect comes with consequences. And the way that y'all can use the fake symbols to push you to the math that makes sense, I'm going to have to call a spade and say you can't have it both ways. Not now. Not in a time like this. Because in 2025, we have politicians where other people in positions of power have to curtail their words because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to have a riot. They don't want to cause any martyrdom. They don't want to make the masses run amok because they aren't us. You know, when it's us, you can have acts of Congress and actually have laws written and things said where we're not allowed to speak, right? Shout out and respect to our ancestor Khalid Muhammad, you know, one of 2 melanated men in this country who've had words written by the people who write the laws saying, hey, we're gonna say that this person's right to free speech. They don't get that anymore. They're not allowed. And then everybody says, okay, well, the law said. 2025, we've got people who look the part saying things like this.
So you, the American public, have to stand up. Democrats are ready to fight for your rights, to fight for the country we all love, to protect the America that so many people envy. But you have to also be willing to pay attention to what is happening and hold the people you sent to Washington to represent you accountable.
I mean, that last part, I would agree with what she said, right? You need to hold these people accountable, right? When they do things like, oh, shucky ducky, I think I lost it. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's gone. You lucky ducks. I almost was able to show you the Democrats in their Wakanda gear and or the Democrats doing the, I don't know if it's the Cupid shuffle or the trust me bro slide, but they know how to wiggle their way out of the promises that they've kept to Black America. And then they get the ability to come on the internet, in the press, on your airwaves, and cry about a bill that's almost 40 years old that does not talk about actually doing anything more than studying. And then think about California, y'all. There are Black people who were elected to do the things for those black people, working on a bill for black people, and tanked the bill for those black people. So I'll be damned if we're going to continue to reintroduce a study. No, tank the study and let's get to the tangible.
Fight for justice, accountability, and healing for Black America. Today, I'm deeply honored to reintroduce H.R. 40, historic legislation to establish a federal commission to examine.
A federal commission means that they are agreeing to the government paying people to study things that have already been studied. And if in 2025, y'all are not understanding that how they've been spending money is not the way, just go take a deep dive into Elon Musk's Twitter account, right? You'll find that he's been sharing all sorts of videos about what Doge has been uncovering. And yes, these people on your screen are outside of the building that they are elected to go inside and do things about, protesting about these things that they, again, were elected to do things about. You know, Elon found out that there's millions and billions of dollars being spent on condoms to countries that have AIDS problems because we want to make sure that these countries aren't spreading AIDS. And while that's so very noble of America to give a damn about the AIDS in Mozambique or wherever they are sending condoms to, we're also spending millions of dollars on sex rights in countries where they aren't fighting that fight. And if the people of that country aren't fighting that fight, why are we spending so much? And if we can spend so much on condoms and sex rights, why can't we pay what's owed to the people who, without the work that they did, we wouldn't have all of this expendable income? I mean, I don't even really think that it's classified as expendable income as much as I think they're trying to spend all of the income before we get it together. But what a time. What a time to exist, right? And since it is that time, I'm going to have to say, you know, if you like tonight, make sure you hit the likes. If you want to maybe get notified, hit the bell so that you are notified when I'm live. Yes, sometimes you're going to get a notification for a live that doesn't happen, but it does mean that I'm on my way. But you're just going to have to excuse the fact that I got a bunch of responsibility. And as much as I would love to spend a lot of time with you exposing things that I've just uncovered, or maybe things that I've thought about for a while, I don't have the time. I've been around people who were supposed to be helping our community, and they've been doing more harm than good. I mean, as much as I haven't been around this guy.
As a psychologist, I'm not going to be able to psychologize all of them on the corner. Some of them going to sleep for good.
I have been around people who feel the same way. I mean, really, people who don't want us to wake up to the reality. People don't want us having reality checks. People don't want us having conversations with people who know more, because we're so adult. You know, it's giving know-it-all. You know, it's giving white people, but then they're not white, so then they can't say I'm white and I said so. So they have to hide behind, you know, strong symbols. But if we're going to be in a time where people are using symbols, well, I'm going to use symbols too.
Mr. George at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me that?
What are you talking about? You're a nigga, bro.
That's crazy.
My mommy and daddy are
Hey,
black,
it's a black man working here. You gonna serve this man?
My daddy are black, so
I don't give a fuck who the fuck. I don't care who you're raised by. Why are you calling me that? I don't even know you. You a bum. If I put my hands here, I'm gonna go to jail, though, right?
You're not gonna do shit, nigga.
I'm not gonna do shit.
You're not gonna do
I'm not gonna do shit. 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 I'm not gonna. I'll drop you. Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh.
You know, one more thing before I tell y'all good night. If this is in fact staged or stagged, if you will, white guy getting dangled. How did you scream like that? Like, I would love to talk to you. Are you out there? I think in the comments somebody tagged you or at least said what your name was, but it's escaping me at this moment. But if you happen across this video, please look, send me a message on, I don't know, send me a message on Gmail to fbasundayschool@gmail.com. And I would love to talk to you because that scream, it was the scream for me. Because while you might be known for saying the N-word and then being controversial, I always have this underlying thought that how people portray themselves on the internet, even though it might all be for the internet, that's kind of how they are anyway. So, you might be a white person who says the N-word like as a day-to-day, and then maybe this is your homeboy, but like when he was dangling you, did your life flash before? Like, did you think that he's gonna forget that this is a skit and you really gonna die today? Because that scream, it was the scream for me. And again, a moment of silence because it was a scream for a lot of y'all. I attended so many funerals over the past 16 days. I am humbled that you chose that hill to die on, because I died too a bunch of times.
Oh boy, I've been waiting for this. What's up?
Called you a nigga, bro.
Hey, this white man just called me a nigga in Augusta, Georgia at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me that?
What are you talking about? You're a nigga, bro.
That's crazy.
My mommy and daddy are
Hey,
black,
it's a black man working here. You gonna serve
my
this
mommy
man?
and daddy are black, so I can
I don't give a fuck who the fuck. I don't care who you're raised by. Why are you calling me that? I don't even know you. You a bum. If I put my hands on you, I'm gonna go to jail, though, right?
You're not gonna do shit, nigga.
I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit.
Just eat. Just eat.